So you got into that school that you always wanted to, or maybe after all those interviews, you finally got that job offer. Or maybe none of the above. Whatever the case is, you find yourself on YouTube trying to figure out how renting works in Boston. Well, you came to the right place. Hi, my name is Joey Majorana. If it's your first time here, thanks for joining. I am a licensed realtor here in Boston and the Boston metro area who makes videos about living in Boston and real estate in Boston. Help others like you find this channel by subscribing, liking, and hitting that notification bell. Let's get into it. So it's been 2 or 3 days, or maybe 3 or 4 weekends, and you've seen about 3 to 30 apartments, and you finally decided on which apartment you want to apply for. What do you need and what paperwork should you expect to fill out? You might receive this first document before you even see an apartment. It's called the Rental Fee Disclosure Form. So this is an optional form that a realtor may give to their client, but you'll probably see it a lot more during the more competitive seasons. It essentially says that your specific agent is showing this specific apartment. And if you decide to apply to this apartment and get accepted, a broker fee is due to that specific agent. Now let's be clear, the agent does not get paid unless you are accepted to an apartment. Yes, the agent actually works for free until then. So even if you don't apply to this apartment, you don't have to worry about paying any fees. People get scared when they see this form, but please don't be. There are 2 reasons for this document. Number 1 is just to be transparent and make sure no one gets surprised. Sometimes people honestly don't know that in Massachusetts, the renters are responsible for the broker fee. This is different from most of the country where the landlord is actually responsible for the broker fee. In the end, no one wants to waste anyone's time, especially their own, and that's what this form does. Number 2, there can also be a scenario where you go out with agent A and you look at apartments 1 and 2, and you go out with agent B and see apartments 3 and 4. And then after you see the 4th apartment, you tell agent B, I really liked apartment 1. This document ensures that agent A can prove that they were the agent who did show you the apartment and not agent B. This is to ensure that the right people are rewarded for the work that they do. That's a good thing. Remember, you only pay the broker fee if you are accepted to that apartment. Okay, so the scenario is this. You tell your agent that you'd like to apply to apartment number 1. So this is where the application process begins. The agent will be sending you multiple forms. One of them is called the Rental Wire Fraud Advisory. This one is kind of self-explanatory, but this form actually advises or cautions you that wire fraud is real and can happen. Just be aware of any wire requests that you and your agent have not talked about. This may seem like pretty common sense. Of course, there's a reason for it, right? But in the end, this is just to make sure everyone stays safe. My guess is that sometime in the past, someone accepted a wire and gave a lot of money to someone who was not part of the transaction. They probably couldn't get it back, and it created this huge fiasco. Anyways, this form was created to avoid all that. So now we agents have to give out this form to make sure our clients are safe. Here we have the rental application. It's pretty straightforward. You fill this out to the best of your ability. Name, phone number, email, your present landlord, your past landlord, your place of employment or occupation, and salary. Now let's talk about salary. Your salary or compensation is verified by providing a copy of your last 2 pay stubs. If you just accepted a new job offer, an offer letter will do. Ideally, a landlord is looking for an applicant who has an income 3 times higher than the rent. So what does that mean? I'm referring to the monthly income before taxes. So currently the median rent in Boston is $2,500 per month, which means if you do the math, you should be bringing in $7,500 per month or more. That does not mean every single person on the lease has to come up with $7,500 each. That just means as a household, you should be bringing in $7,500 or more. Again, this is just rule of thumb. This is not necessarily make or break your application. However, it does increase the strength of your application. Along with this, you may be asked to do a credit check. Just keep in mind that though income is a strong factor, it's not the only factor, and landlords look at your application package as a whole when making a decision. What if you're a student and you don't have a job, or maybe you don't make enough income? Well, that's when you receive the Guarantor application, more commonly known as the Co-Signer. So this form asks the Co-Signer's name, social security, salary, and employment. The Co-Signer will be the one ultimately responsible if the rent's not getting paid. Along with your application, you will also have to provide a copy of a government-issued ID. And if you're using Co-Signer, they will also have to provide a copy of their ID as well. Also remember that the co-signer will also have to do a credit check. So now that you have your application filled out, your pay stubs, your ID, and your credit check, you send that all to your realtor or your agent. Then your agent packages all that together and sends it to the other agent or the landlord. So when you send an application, keep in mind that when you are accepted, you will have to send first, last security deposit, as well as the broker fee within 24 hours of being accepted. Now that's what normally happens. But at the time of this recording, in December, Boston is in a renter's market, so you may not have to include last month's rent, or maybe you don't have to include a broker fee because the landlord is actually going to pay the broker fee. So always consult with your agent about which fees are due. So once you have your application, your ID, your credit check, and your pay stubs, you send that to your agent. Your agent then packages all that, sends it to the landlord or the other agent. Typically, you'll have a response within 24 hours. Congratulations, you are accepted. But once accepted, the landlord will usually send the lease to the agent, and the agent sends the lease to you. Read it over, and if you have any questions, consult your agent. You will also receive the lead disclosure form. In Massachusetts, properties can be very old. Many of these homes had or have lead in them. By law, the landlord must let the tenant know if they know of any lead that is in the unit for any property built before 1978. As you know, young children being exposed to lead can be very harmful for the health. And of course, no one wants that. You may also receive the mold addendum. So this form notifies the tenant of their responsibility in pertaining to the prevention of mold in the leased property. Once everything is ironed out, you authorize your signature on all the documents and send it back to your agent. Then your agent sends it to the landlord or the other agent. Best practice is once the landlord receives the signed lease and the monies, then he signs the lease. At that point, he gives it back to the agent. The agent makes all the copies of the forms and distributes it to you and the landlord. Always keep these forms stored in a place accessible if you may need them. That's it! You leased an apartment! I know it seems like there's a lot of things happening, but that's because there is a lot of things happening. But with the right agent who can communicate, set up appointments, has experience, you'll be in good hands. I'm always here to help no matter what the price range is in the Boston metro area, and if I can't help you, I'll find someone else who can. If you found this video helpful, gently hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. My name is Joey Majorana. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.